You can make logical arguments on both sides. I don't think you can be wrong as long as you're making good arguments on both sides. When I walk in the gym, I'm in range.
Welcome to the Jboy Show, hosted by Jake Crane.
Happy Thirsty Thursday, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us. Got a bunch of good debate today, a lot of interesting topics as we move through the show. But before I say a word, before I start dropping the hammer, or my illustrious co-host David Cohn or Blaine Crane starts spewing whatever garbage takes they're going to have as usual. Sponsored by Waste Management. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell everybody about it. Got some great stuff coming as well. But I want to start in the college basketball world, and I want to narrow the focus a little bit to the Southeastern Conference and who is the top team, because there is a lot of debate right now between Kentucky and Auburn. Some people are talking about Tennessee. You know, Arkansas has been hotter than a solar flare on Cancun Beach. But when you look at some of the other conferences, the Big 12, we know how talented they are. Kansas looking to get a 1 seed. Baylor's right there. I still stand by what I said in thinking that Texas Tech is the best team in the Big 12. The ACC has been, about as down as a limbo contest. And the Big East has fallen off the bubble quicker than Thelma and Louise drove the car off the cliff. But when you look at the Southeastern Conference and you look at Kentucky, hasn't been fully healthy throughout most of the year with Ty Washington being hurt. Xavier Wheeler, who leads the SEC in assists at 7.1 a game, has been out. They're still winning and playing well. The debate is between Auburn and Kentucky right now on who is the best team in the SEC. And look, both of those teams coming down to it as we wind down the regular season, get ready for the conference tournament, as we march toward March Madness. You can see what I did there. Both of those teams could attain a number 1 seed. It just depends on how it shakes out. But if I had to right now, and it is splitting hairs, and I always say, look, 2 things can be true at once. There's logical arguments on both sides of the who is better, Kentucky or Auburn argument. I have to lean Auburn. And before everybody says, oh, you're from Auburn, and this, that, and the other, here is why. When I look at the makeup of both of these teams, Auburn and Kentucky have played each other. I know Ty Washington was hurt. I get that. And that'll be the first rebuttal I get from Kentucky fans, whether it's in the comments or on social media at the Jboy Show. Make sure you check that out. I look at the complete team, starting from the backcourt to the front court. And let's say Kentucky is fully healthy. I'm not a huge hypotheticals guy, but I do think they will be fully healthy by the time they get to the NCAA tournament. And John Calipari has made the right decision not to play Ty. I wouldn't even play him through the conference tournament. You're winning right now. Without him, you've beaten some good teams, Alabama included, LSU at home last night, even though LSU has been a little bit on a rocky road here lately. And I'm not talking about Blaine's favorite flavor of ice cream.
It's not true.
I look, it is true.
Cookie dough.
You'll like whatever
Cookie
flavor
dough.
ice cream
Chocolate chip cookie dough, hands down.
Okay, that is actually true. But when you look at the backcourt of Auburn, they've turned the ball over a ton. Turned it over 12 times last night against Ole Miss. We're going to get into recaps. It was better than it has been. Believe they had turned it over at least 17 times in the last 4 games. You have some more depth back there. You take Xavier Wheeler off the court, and I like Davion Mintz. I like him. But you saw what happened when LSU started pressing. And it was a smart move by Will Wade. Grady, we know he can get really hot. He can cook about as good as he's Guy Fieri out there when he's cooking. But I do like KD Johnson when they're playing well. If we're going to play hypotheticals and say you're fully healthy and both teams are playing well, I do like the ability of Auburn's guards and kind of the diversification of what Auburn's guards can do. Zep Jasper, the designated driver, which I think is a great nickname. John Rothstein gave him that. Shout out to John. I like the way he's able to control it. He dropped 15 last night, and if he starts scoring, it adds a huge element, the 5th element, to what Auburn can do offensively and the way you have to guard them. We know Wendell Green, when he's playing well, can be unbelievably effective from 3-point range, from driving off the pick and roll, and I think he's starting to understand a little bit. Sometimes you have to be a sidekick and not be the hero, even though he was able to score at the end of the first half last night, albeit against Ole Miss. It was a good sign if you're Auburn. Then you look when they start going to the front court. Auburn's got the best front court in college basketball. Walker Kessler, who is now starting to get mentioned for Player of the Year. We've been sitting here saying it the past 3 weeks. He's starting to make the list. Then you have Jabari Smith, who's most likely going to be the number 1 pick, who's 100% witch at 6'10", and only getting better, only improving. Really liking what I'm seeing from a rebounding standpoint compared to Oscar Jboy and Keon Brooks, who I know has had good looks offensively, is really starting to be a force. But if everything is even between Walker and Jboy, and they are two different players, to me, Walker is a better defender and a better rim protector. Oscar is a better rebounder, and I think his offensive game is a little bit more refined than Walker. Walker's footwork is getting better, but as far as being able to back guys down in the post, work that, Colin Castleton type game that we've seen when Colin's playing well at Florida, I will give Oscar the nod there offensively. So if everything's even there, then you look at the 4, you've got to take Jabari Smith. And to me, the mixture of depth that Auburn has with Jabari Smith slightly puts them above Kentucky. And again, you can make logical arguments on both sides. I don't think you can be wrong as long as you're making good arguments on both sides. And to be honest with you, I would not be shocked if both of those teams are in the Final Four. But how nice is it if you're looking at the Southeastern Conference, if you've been somebody that has followed Southeastern Conference basketball for a while, to not only have Auburn and Kentucky at the top vying for a number 1 seed, but Tennessee's playing really well, as I mentioned. Arkansas and Eric Musselman, they have righted the ship. Have totally righted the ship since struggling early in SEC play, started 0-3, have really started to kind of find themselves offensively. The roles are getting defined. We know about Note, Jalen Williams, Devo, Amude, and that group there. And then you look at kind of the periphery. Alabama, we know can be a problem. But the SEC is so healthy right now in college basketball, and it makes college basketball better as a whole. So I'm taking Auburn slightly closer than the experts think. Nod to Lee Corso. All right, guys. Please explain to me how I'm wrong.
Well, here, let me go ahead and go with my garbage take real quick. So they're usually garbage anyway.
By the way, this is brought to you by Glad Trash.
The thing about it is like any way you slice this, you're not wrong, right? Okay. Either way of the fence, I don't think you're wrong. I do think neutral court, both teams healthy. Mm-hmm. I would think it's a pick 'em, but I would take Kentucky.
Why?
Because Kentucky leads in points per game, assists per game, field goal percentage per game, 3-point field goal percentage per game, and rebounds. They're better than Auburn in that.
But they lost to Auburn though.
Okay, do you think Arkansas is better than Auburn?
But Ty wasn't
healthy. That's fine.
I understand.
You think Arkansas is better than Auburn?
It was on the road.
That's what I'm saying. It's hard to do the hypothetical.
It's on the road,
but they have played. And when you watch the way that game went, because again, there's a lot of different things. Foul trouble, right? So if Jboy gets in foul trouble, where's Kentucky going down low? Where? He's just all right. He's just all right. So that to me, there's a lot more things that could go wrong for Kentucky than could for Auburn. But continue, please.
Okay. As I was saying, on a neutral court, the thing with me that scares me about Auburn is one, their decision making, right? And their decision making late in games and turning the ball over, right? And their guards have not been playing well. KD hadn't been playing well, turning the ball over. Wendell hadn't been playing well. And Zeb Jasper gets Ole Miss. If Zeb starts playing like that, now the story gets a little bit different. But right now, I look at both these teams, all right? I feel like Kentucky's only been getting better, right? Their bench has been getting better. Toppin has been getting better. And I wouldn't say Auburn has been getting worse, but I would say Auburn has been steady as who they are, but not getting better. That's what I would think. And you look at it, right, and you go back to the 5, and there's 3 things that scare me for Auburn. That's Allen Flanigan, Devin Cambridge, and Jalen Williams, right? And you look at Kentucky team. Kentucky guys know their role. They know and the 2 guys coming off the bench, whether that's Brooks Jr. or Toppin, they know their role. They know who the guys are, where to get it to them, and how to get it to them. And if Walker gets in a foul trouble, and Auburn, you got to think Auburn when they play Kentucky, they got to the line almost 30 times that game, which is huge. But Oscar's used to playing 40 minutes a game, right? He's pretty decent playing with foul trouble if he does get in foul trouble. But I just trust, I trust Kentucky's bench more than I trust Auburn's. Jalen Williams, I don't trust. Devin Cambridge, I don't trust. Allen Flanigan, I don't trust.
Well, I will say Cambridge has been getting better about understanding you don't need to shoot it a lot. Your shots need to be dunks, putbacks, offensive rebounds, going back up. Allen Flanigan, I agree with you 100%, is an absolute liability. He could be on a State Farm commercial. He's such a liability. But he's a liability not because he doesn't have talent. We know he's talented, but he tries to go get his a little bit. Now, I will say the last couple games, he has turned the ball over too much, but it seems to me he's starting to understand he is not the main guy. I think Jalen Williams has to play well for Auburn to operate at full speed because you got to give Jboy a break at some point.
Yes.
And Jalen Williams offensively isn't a bad player. To me, Jalen Williams is a better offensive player than Allen Flanigan and Devin Cambridge. And you watched, you go to the Florida game, Jalen Williams had no points. You look when Auburn's playing well, Jalen Williams is able to come in and supplement, whether it's a little turnaround hook, hitting a three every now and then. I would much rather Jalen Williams be taking shots, I'm talking about Auburn's Jalen Williams, than Devin Cambridge or Allen Flanigan.
Yeah, I agree.
Look, I like Auburn less and less each time I watch them over the past 2 weeks. And I like Kentucky more and more, even without Wheeler and even without Ty Washington. Okay, so if we revisit this conversation in 2 weeks, right when we're about to tip off March Madness, I think that we're going to know a lot more then in terms of what Kentucky can do if they're forced to play without those guys. Mm-hmm. With that being said, I just feel like even though Oscar Jboy is a double-double machine, automatic 15 and 15, that's so valuable on a college basketball court. I feel like Walker Kessler is every bit the player that he is. He can neutralize him, and you add the best player in the country to that front court, okay, then they clearly have an advantage in the front court over Kentucky. And if Kentucky's strength is their back court and they're missing those guys, they're missing Wheeler and Washington, which I think they're going to be without them. Even if they come back and they are healthy and they can play in the first few games of March Madness, are they really going to able to go through a 6-game grueling schedule every other day like the tournament demands? I don't know. I think that on a neutral site right now, Auburn would find a way to win the basketball game. But I'll tell you this right now, they have to play more sound basketball. And if they think they can turn the basketball over 17 plus times a game and win 6 in a row to be national championships, they're out of their mind.
And Kentucky's turns the ball over least in the SEC.
Yeah.
Do they? What are they averaging? Under 10?
I would believe so. If it's the least in the SEC, they turn over the least in the SEC, then I would think
that's a stat to watch.
Yeah, well, that's one that has staying power because if you're not shooting well, you never want to turn the ball over. But if you turn the ball over and you're shooting well, sometimes you can get out of that. But Auburn's problem has been they've been turning the ball over and not shooting very well. They've had to really rely on Walker, really rely on Jboy. If the backcourt gets going for Auburn, and you don't have to play at an elite level. I mean, we're not talking about going and dropping 25, just not turning the ball over, putting scorers in the position to score, and giving yourself a chance with the shot at the basket. Because guys like Jboy, there's not a bad shot for Jabari Smith. And Wendell Green is a good shooter. He is. You look at last night, he kind of got it going a little bit. I know it's in the home gym, but I do want to make this point. And everybody talks about, Auburn struggles on the road. I believe they're 7-2 on the road?
Mm-hmm. And I believe Kentucky's 4-5.
Yeah, but we have to understand, these games in the NCAA tournament are played on a neutral court. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't think we can look too far into that. Auburn fans are going to travel, Kentucky fans are going to travel, but looking at the periphery, too, and getting into the recap of last night, we have some huge games this weekend, especially in the Southeastern Conference. I mean, you got Kentucky going to Arkansas, Auburn going to Tennessee. I look at Tennessee right now. They're a really scary team.
Arkansas?
Again, we bring up Arkansas. We've talked about them a lot, but Eric Musselman's got them playing well when you want to play well. So Auburn needs to right the ship quickly, and they can do that starting this Saturday.
It's never a good thing when you're not playing sound basketball in late February. Mm-hmm. But do you think that Bruce Pearl can spin this to his guys and say, look, we haven't even been playing sound basketball and we're still finding a way to win. Yeah. It's going to be very important in March that we were tested.
Yeah. If you're looking at Silver Linings Playbook, then yes.
Sure.
When you have the talent to overcome mistakes, that's good. But then you pair that with good basketball because you still have time. I mean, we have, I believe, 3 more games left in the regular season in conference play. Then you have the conference tournament. Because all it takes in basketball is a couple games of playing well to get it going. Mm-hmm. I mean, you don't have to have 3 weeks of playing great basketball. Be like, all right, guys, we figured it out. And it's not like they haven't played good basketball before. When they were really cooking earlier in the year, I mean, Wendell was a witch. KD was doing his thing defensively, offensively driving the ball. It's defining the roles. Mm-hmm. And whenever you have to do that, that's something that as a coach and the way Bruce Pearl plays, it's not a unbelievably disciplined, Tony Bennett style of basketball. It is kind of a free and loose within your role. But once you start getting closer to the tournament, as we've talked about, guys have to start taking shots that they need to take, not that they want to take. And that's
last thing on Auburn and Kentucky here. Each of them have different flaws, right, which we've been breaking down. But it really is never a good thing, Blaine, when you have to say, this team, when healthy, Like anytime you have to add that to it,
True.
right?
True.
That is, man, that's what scares me about Kentucky.
It's tough. And I'm basing my opinion on a healthy Kentucky team. A Ty back, Xavier Wheeler back.
Which you think will happen.
They're sitting right now by the tournament. If it's me, I'm not even worried about the SEC tournament. Xavier for sure. I'm not even worried about the SEC tournament to a certain extent for Ty. All right, Ty, however long as it takes, when that NCAA tournament starts, you need to be healthy and you need to get going. And if they can't last through the tournament, David, they're not. If they meet up with Auburn in the Final Four or something like that, and they're not healthy, then yeah, I'm taking Auburn. But a healthy Kentucky team, right? The thing that scares me about Auburn, they get to the habit of playing individual basketball.
Yeah,
that's what they do, and it scares me. You look at Kentucky, they play team basketball. They almost have 6 guys and averaging double figures.
You're right about that, man.
Right, and that's what scares me about Auburn, especially in late games. They do what? They play individual basketball, and hopefully they can get out of that and start playing more like a team.
There was some great basketball on last night. Let's start with Providence and Xavier.
What a game.
The game of the night, and possibly could be the game of the year. I believe we have a clip from Bynum as well.
Bynum went bonkers.
Look, he did, and I thought, man, he played really well the other night against Villanova, too. And Providence, they're an interesting team. Nate Watson down low, wasn't overly dominant. A guy that can get hot. He does have a presence down there. Providence plays hard. Ed Cooley has done a hell of a job with them, but they go into 3 overtimes against Xavier last night. And it was back and forth. The dunk was rocking once again. When I look at this Providence team, though, they worry me come tournament time. And I'm not going to sit here and talk about shot selection for 30 minutes because, look, some teams just aren't afraid to pull it, and that's who they are. When you look at Providence, they will pull from anywhere at any point in time, and that's great when it's going great.
Yep.
That's great when it's going great. And I'll throw this back to you, and I'm going to go ahead and say this. As good of a job as Ed Cooley's done, I don't trust Providence in the tournament.
I get it, and you make a great point that, you're not going to shoot great every single game. Can you win in multiple ways? This is what scares me most about someone like Villanova, who did just beat Providence. But if Villanova's not shooting well, they don't have someone inside who can go toe-to-toe with one of these bigs who they're undoubtedly going to run into. At least with Providence, they have Nate Watson down low. Now, he wasn't dominant last night, and I think they need to feed the ball to him more and run the offense more through him. But at the same time, if you can go on a stretch where Bynum is shooting anything like what he did, and they can play what Blaine just said, team basketball, man, Providence could be fun to watch.
A scary type of tournament team in the tournament, because if they're hitting shots, right, there's not a shot that they put up that they don't believe's going in.
Yeah,
that's so scary.
Look, I love confidence. Y'all know that. I love confidence. But in the NCAA tournament, with the amount of games you play, you're not going to shoot good every game.
Yep.
There's going to be a game where you're not shooting well. And if you're putting up, so Providence, I'll give you this example, because they're not just pulling from a foot behind the 3-point line.
It's logo
like
pull.
Reeves and those guys, they're like, if I see when I walk in the gym, I'm in range. Okay, when I walk in the arena and I see the basket, I'm in range. But if they play a team that can get up and down in transition, that is a transition team, what do long threes lead to? Long rebounds that lead to fast breaks. Yep. And I worry sometimes that Providence doesn't, when the shots aren't falling, when you watch them, when they're not falling, they don't feed Nate Watson enough. Yeah. And it's either Bynum creating off the bounce, which he can do, or it's Watson down low. And Watson doesn't do a great job of passing out of double teams or traps. So Providence is going to run into a game where those threes aren't falling. What's scary is when you hate playing those type teams, because if they are hitting, it's like Alabama a little bit. If they are hitting, they're lethal. Because again, not a mathematician. I didn't go to the England School of Math and Numbers, but I know 3 is more than 2.
Here's another thing for Nate Watson, not only offensively running through him more, but is he disciplined enough if he gets in foul trouble early to not pick up those extra fouls.
I don't think he
You
is.
talk about people like Oscar Jboy, okay, and like Isaiah Mobley and guys like that. Those guys or Jalen Williams, we were talking about with Arkansas the other night, right? Who was playing most of a game with 4 fouls, disciplined enough to step in there and take a charge or two and last the full game to play defense. Walker Kessler could play with 3 fouls in the first if he absolutely had to and make it league. I don't know if Nate Watson can do that, but I'm not saying he can't.
Well, and I'm going to get to Kentucky and LSU after this. This is the last point I'm going to make. I'm not even talking about Providence late in the tournament running into a Kentucky. What I'm talking about is in the second round, you're playing somebody, or hell, maybe even in the first round, you're playing a mid-major team that is smaller than you, that doesn't have an answer for Nate Watson, but they run and they play 5 out and everybody can shoot threes, and all of a sudden you're taking long shots, it's leading to long rebounds, which totally negates Watson.
Yeah.
It totally negates him, and you are taking away an advantage. It's kind of playing both ends of the sword or both sides of the coin, and you're playing into them being able to stay in the game rebounding, not giving up offensive rebounds. You see what I'm saying? I'm not talking about Providence on defense, because we know defensive rebounding travels. But offensively, if you're not able to get offensive rebounds because you're launching from a SpaceX platform in the Pacific Ocean and it's hitting the rim and going 300 feet past the basket and I'm going to catch it, now we're running, to me, that could, I have a hard time trusting Providence. I've got to see the matchups, because I'm telling you guys right now, if they run into somebody in the second round, like a Murray State or somebody like that,
Ranked team, yeah.
I mean, it's a scary deal.
Providence is the type of team that can win it all or lose in the first round.
I know. That's why I hate.
They can ruin your bracket. That is the type of team Providence is. So just be very wary. I like what you said. It's going to be down to matchups and see if they're hitting shots.
Run some of these Bynum clips when you get.
Yeah. Let's get the Bynum clips up there from last night, because again, I mean, he absolutely pulled the wand out, and this is a hell of a game, man. I mean, we're in the second overtime here. Let's go ahead and run the clip. He's from the top. That's the logo. You can see him working here the left side. That's such a difficult shot. So he can beat you in so many ways. He is a true dual threat guard. He reminds me a little bit of R.J. Cole from Connecticut, too. Here you see him working at the top. I'm going to go right on the blow-by with a little kiss.
Watch this.
Shout out Bill Raftery. I'm going to give it up. I'm going back. It's logo time.
Ball game.
Cash. Ball game. In clutch moments. But that's who Providence is. We always talk about the Mandy Moore show, right? This is us. That's them. That's them. So a big win for Providence. Man, they worry me come tournament time. I've got to see the matchup. If I'm going to pick Providence, I hope they are playing big, slow teams.
Yeah, why is Bynum coming off the bench?
I was wondering that too.
Well, some guys, and you
Javon
Quinterly a little bit. Some guys play better coming off the bench. Devin Booker in college played better coming off the bench. It's just part of it.
Starting 5 for Kentucky.
I know. They had Heaven's Army starting 5 when Booker.
I'll just never understand that. It's like, well, you're better coming off the bench. If you're better than one of the people starting in the 5, get out there.
But are you better when you're starting than the person starting in the 5 as opposed to coming off the bench? I always trust the head coach in that situation, because they've obviously had those conversations.
Yeah.
It's not like if he's balling like that and he wanted to start, he's going to be starting.
Yeah.
Like they would have had that conversation, but it's like, Coach, I'm more comfortable. I can see the game flow a little bit, and I can get in there. So
that's why when we were talking about Quinterly and was like, oh, he's being punished because he wasn't playing defense. I'm like, I remember last time he came off the bench, he asked to come off the bench and he put up 28.
Yeah, but Quinterly, I think they're in a little bit of a different position, because then you got J.D. Davidson handling the ball coming up in a big game, and you can look up and be down 17-2.
You're right.
Yeah, he was punished until they were down 8.
Yeah, but until Vandy went on a 9-0 run, and he was like, I forgive you.
Yeah.
What if it's a situation where the longer they wait to put in one of these players, the more they go off when they get in?
Yeah, that's exactly right. He scored 100 points in the last 6 minutes of the game. We left him in. But let's move on to Kentucky and LSU. Blaine, what was the final score of that game?
71-66.
71-66.
Sorry.
This was so, if you watch the last 2 minutes of this game, it was just a complete 180 of what actually happened in this game. Kentucky was up 14 or 15.
They were losing the whole first. They were down 8.
They were up 14 or 15 points with 2 minutes left in this game and forgot how to play basketball.
You told people to go in their parents' bedroom.
He told them that.
I did that too on record.
I guarantee
I got mine wrong too. We got our locks wrong yesterday.
I guaranteed a 10-point win. And it was going to happen.
You let
2 minutes left.
You did that.
And they just started pressing, and all of a sudden Kentucky just forgot how to dribble and pass.
So many Booster Club members that just hate us today.
Yeah.
Hey, I went 1-1 yesterday.
Please send
I did too, actually.
I went 1-1.
Hateful comments to at Crane Blaine and at David Adams.
You apologize to y'all's mother for that $10
you apologize because of their action.
I'm not apologizing for nothing.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
But yeah, they were down 7 at the half. Kentucky was down 7 at the half. Look, Pinson kept LSU in this game.
Pinson was hot early.
26 points.
He had 14, I think, in the first half. LSU did a smart thing. You're starting point guards out, starting twos out. Let's press you. And it worked early. It kind of caught, I'm not going to say it caught Kentucky off guard because I don't think they were shocked that they were getting pressed. But with the guys they had handling the ball, it was a smart move by LSU. But LSU just cannot put two halves together. They just can't do it. They just can't do it. And I'll say this again. I know LSU is a lock for the tournament. I don't trust them either. I don't trust them either. Ephraim Reed, I think, is going to be a good player down the road. He's still figuring it out. I think him and Bediako have a lot of similarities in kind of the way they're figuring out. Darius Days, we know who he is. But, I mean,
I think Tari Eason came off the bench last night.
Tari Eason, but Tari's been doing that. Tari's a really good player. But LSU is just so inconsistent. And I know it's going to Rupp. I'm not talking about Rupp. They're the team that goes and are beating Kentucky by 7 at halftime and loses at South Carolina. And I know South Carolina's been playing better. Speaking about teams that may sneak into the tournament, South Carolina's won 4 in a row. Nobody's really talking about them. They do got kind of a tough stretch here coming up at the end, including a trip to Auburn to end the regular season. But LSU, just consistent-wise, they're another team that can absolutely ruin your bracket, but I don't trust them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Kentucky was up 69-57 with 1:10 left. And
69-57?
57 with 1:10 left in the ball game and forgot.
And Kentucky shot 16% from 3. They were 2 for 12. So that's another example of, I think Coach Calipari can say, look, we only shot 16% and we still won a tough basketball game in the SEC. We're not always going to shoot that poorly without 2 stars.
Well, they out-rebounded them 36-24. I mean, at the end of the day, LSU is one of the teams, they can hit shots, that's fine. But the shots they were hitting, that ain't going to last. I'm sorry. It's just not going to last. You know what is going to last? People jumping up and getting rebounds and going back up offensive points when you're 3 or 4 feet away from the basket.
And LSU, they were cutting their teeth, and this is so weird for me to say this about a Will Wade team compared to what they've had in the past. They were cutting their teeth defensively. And when LSU is good, and look, the plays you run on offense, they're not always going to work out. You've got to hit contested shots. But LSU isn't a team that can just go out here and N1 mixtape tour you the whole game.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have pure enough shooters. Eric Gaines, he's got a little Rucker Park game to him. He's got a little Stretch Armstrong to him. The way he can operate, he can make tough shots. But he also takes a lot of chances. Darius Days has been really, really ineffective outside of doing what he does, shooting threes good every now and again. You can see him rebounding. Tari Eason, if he doesn't play good offensively, and it's not beautiful with Tari Eason. He's a putback guy. He's a garbage bucket guy. He's a mid-range guy, can shoot the 3 a little bit. But if he's not operating at full speed, LSU can go on stretches where they just cannot score. Yeah. Pinson, we all know what Pinson can do. But Pinson sometimes can play a little bit out of control. So when LSU tries to force it offensively, it can look really, really ugly. To me, if I'm Will Wade, the way that LSU should play when you get to the tournament is slow it down. Just slow it down, make it an ugly game, because Pinson wants to run. Eric Gaines wants to run. But they don't operate very well offensively when they turn into a track meet, and it negates a lot of defense because transition defense is a lot harder than set defense. When LSU is able to get set defensively, they do a really good job. They do a pretty good job communicating. Now, there was a stretch there a little while ago where it was, Uncle Fester ugly on defense.
Yeah.
But when they are all set defensively, they can cause problems. LSU doesn't need to be winning games 81-79. They need to be winning games 68-64, 70-61. Like they're not a team that's going to go out here and blow the balls off the scoreboard. They lead the country in steals, then get in transition. You steal the ball, then get in transition. But then watch LSU. And all our LSU fans, I know you know what I'm saying. Shout out Jordy Collada, Mike Scarborough, Blake Ruffino. I'll go down the list. Y'all know what I'm saying. When LSU grabs rebounds and starts to run, it gets really ugly really quickly.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think you watched that game yesterday. Kentucky went on a 20-4 run.
That's what I'm telling you. They just go like, well, it's like when on Tommy Boy when he has the cars, he's like, you just going along, and then it's oh my god, like that.
And when Kentucky starts running, what does that lead to? Transition, and sometimes leads to a lot of fouls,
yeah.
right? And Kentucky got to the line 32 times in that game.
Yeah, and a lot. Look, I watched the game. There are a lot of fouls.
Yeah, 23 of 32.
You can't shout out hashtag rupparees on that one. Which it tends to happen there. But it happens everywhere at home. I'm not getting into officiating again. I'm not going down.
You could say the same thing about the Auburn.
Yeah, I'm not going down the list on that. And the way they call fouls against Walker Kessler that don't exist, like the Snuffleupagus. Any other games you want to hit?
Do you want to talk about Duke at all?
Okay, this game. The Duke-Virginia game, which remember, Virginia went into Cameron Indoor and won it earlier in the year. This game, pace-wise, played out exactly like Virginia wanted it to.
Yeah.
But the difference was they hit the big shots in the first half. Clark pulled the wand out. There was a stretch there where he couldn't miss blindfolded. But in the second half, Virginia wasn't able to hit the big shots to not only stay in the game, but get that lead and put the pressure on Duke in the end. And Duke was able to outlast them. But Virginia you could ask Tony Bennett, that game, the pace was exactly like they wanted it, but they weren't able to get the win because, look, Duke has more talented players. Now, the real question is, is this Duke team a Final Four team? I'm not saying do they have the talent to be a Final Four team, but we've watched them the whole year. And the ACC is down, and it's nearly around, and Sugar, they're going down swinging. All right, they're not very good this year, which is so weird to say about the ACC in basketball. But is this Duke team a team that you would bet on to get to the Final Four?
Matchup?
No, that would be overperforming, I think, for this Duke team. But with a coach as great as Coach K in his final year, crazier stuff has happened, man. You want to talk about a Cinderella story?
Circle the wagons? Are you saying circle the wagons for Coach K?
I'm thinking they could.
Well, I think it's going to come down to matchups.
I would not bet on it to answer your question. Yeah, it will come down to matchups.
It'll come down to matchups. But I look at this game, and the big number was the last time we played, Virginia got 11 offensive rebounds, which was big. All right, they only got, if they got double digits offensive rebounds, I think they would win the game. All right, they only got 6. All right, AJ Griffin hit a couple threes late. Jeremy Roach had 15 points, but the pace was favoring Virginia. Virginia ended up with 15 assists in this game, so they had I think they're 16 for 17 now with 10 plus assists in a game. I still think this Virginia team's good, but it kind of goes back to what Coach K said kind of earlier in the year. I look at this Duke team, and I can't find the guy who is the leader of this team, right? That I'm searching. They have great players, great talent, right? Great talent, but there's usually a guy you can look at and.
Is it Banchero, though? I mean, is it Pablo?
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. It's not because he even played, but I believe he's a great player.
You're not a believer?
But some guys just aren't there emotionally in the huddle. And you're going to need a guy like that to run deep in the tournament most of the time, because you can have great talent who doesn't play well together. It's a real thing. I mean, there's only one ball.
Well, we've seen it in the era of one and done. The teams that did one and done most time in the tournament were a couple and done.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they need to find their main voice, their main guy. They need their Gandalf.
Yeah.
They need their Thor. Definitely not Hawkeye, but they need their Thor.
Yeah, unless every single player on your team is going to be so great, more like an Arizona approach. I don't see this. I mean, Arizona, doesn't have that one guy who you think would, take every last shot. They have a bunch of guys who could take the final shot, but it's because all of them are kind of performing well and making those shots. Whereas Duke, I mean, look, last night Virginia and Duke both shot over 40% from 3. That's great, right?
Especially for Virginia.
That's great, but you would think that a Duke team would be able to beat Virginia by more than 4 if they're shooting from over 40% from 3.
Yeah.
But it was on the road.
And that's where that pace gets you, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you don't get as many shots up. It's one thing to shoot 4 out of 10, 40%. It's another thing to shoot, 8 out of 20, getting 20 of them up. See, Virginia, I always call it the aim small, miss small, to quote the Patriot. Like, the way they play, you don't get as many shots. It's the triple option, right? In football,
you get fewer plays.
You get fewer possessions, so you better take advantage and score touchdowns, or at least score on those possessions, or that game is going to be close just the way the math shakes out. That's why Virginia, to me, they're like, if we can shoot even with you, we're going to have a chance to win. And that's where that pace kind of comes into effect. Not a ton of great games on.
Got one top 25 matchup.
Yeah, I got
one top 25 matchup. The Ohio Buckeyes go to Illinois.
We got to get you past this.
Huh?
Yeah,
We got to get you
I
past
want to
this,
hear you
man.
say Ohio.
You
Guys,
picked Rutgers
say
against
it.
Guys,
Michigan
stop.
today,
It's
right?
not. Guys,
We got to get you past
guys, it's not a big deal.
You're
Illinois
safe
is
here.
-6.
Tone, you're
Illinois is
safe.
-6 at home.
Okay.
Trust tree.
Look, it is what it is. To quote,
You're not ever gonna
it
say it,
is
are
what
you?
it is. It's the Ohio Buckeyes are at Illinois. Like,
Okay. The Ohio
So, do we
State.
just need to
Fact
give
check.
up on trying to get you to
Fact
say Ohio State?
check.
We just need to go ahead and get
True.
Okay.
Facts
Fact check.
Facts don't
True.
care about your
What I
feelings.
want to know is Illinois -6 at home.
Look.
Say
Ohio
I
State-
won't say state, but I'll take them +6.
First,
now.
I'll tell you this: I'll watch an EJ Liddell and Kofi Cogburn matchup. 10 out of 10.
I'm going to be
times.
glued to it.
Those are both pros. Illinois, and look, every team's different at home. I get it, but I look at this Big Ten standings right now as we're getting toward the end of it. Wisconsin's 14-4. Purdue's right behind them. I think they're 13-4. If you look at the Big Ten, I mean, they played a different amount of games. I know because of COVID pushbacks and this, that, and the other. But if you look where Illinois is, I got to stop saying that.
Oh
S
yeah,
on
nice. Illinois is. Yeah.
Illinois. That's a weird combination.
Ohio State.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen.
Ohio.
Would you please stop interrupting your brother while he's
Tony
talking?
wants to move
okay?
on. Stop interrupting
You're
me
right.
too. Yeah. Anyway.
As I was saying.
Yeah. So when I look at the Big Ten standings, this is a huge game. I think Ohio State's 10-5. Illinois, I want to say they're 12-5. Because it's weird because they played more.
Ohio
games.
State 17-7.
I'm talking about in the conference. play.
10-5 and 12-4.
12-4. Okay, so if Ohio State wants to have a chance at the end, it's going to be tough to catch the guys at the top. This is when you got to go get, and we look at seeding. We know Ohio State's in. We know Illinois is in as well. But this is a primetime matchup, and this does have ramifications because if Ohio State's able to go in there and win, not only from a seeding standpoint, you keep yourself in the conversation on being able to win the Big Ten championship. So while there's not games, I mean, Gonzaga plays at San Francisco, who's one of the top 3 teams in the league, the WCC, which is like being the skinniest kid at fat camp. Nobody really cares. They're a 10-point favorite on the road. Even though I do love Todd Golden, remember that name, the head coach at San Francisco. He is going to get a big time job soon.
Okay.
And he's a guy that's very well respected in the college basketball coaching community. That's a name to make sure and keep an eye on. Matt McMahon at Murray State's another one as well. But, it's one we're going to watch. It does have ramifications, but that's really the only game I'm super jacked and tan about tonight.
Should be fun. They're very similar. I think both of these could be Elite 8 teams or better. So let's see.
They got down low presence, and they both.
Yeah.
Look, if Harms can shoot it better for Ohio State, he's really let me down this year. Because look, he's a guy. His brother could shoot the lights out, 100% Hawkeye. If he can get it going, they become so much more dangerous. Because EJ Liddell is a flat out pro.
He's an NBA player.
He is a flat out pro. I think he's going to play in the NBA for a long time. But it's Thursday, Cone. It's time to get a little trivial.
Thursday trivia. Y'all ready? We're going to bounce
get it.
around a little bit, but we're going to stay SEC basketball here for a little bit. Okay, just on the first one. All right.
We have not been told these questions in advance, by
Yes.
the way.
Okay. Look, and also,
I may go
just so there's no
undefeated
collusion over
today.
you.
I'm on my
your
72
side,
Dolphins-ish today.
Oh yeah, are you
Yeah.
undefeated? Okay. Kentucky.
computer.
Okay, Kentucky has 49 regular season SEC championships. Which SEC school has the second most? Okay, Kentucky has 49, which is by far the most.
Who has the second
The
most?
second most SEC regular season basketball championships.
Can throw out Missouri, throw out A&M, because they haven't been in the SEC long enough. Could really probably throw out Arkansas. They haven't been in the SEC long enough. I'm going to say one that is either going to be very smart or very dumb.
You gonna say
me.
South Carolina?
Hit me.
Alabama.
Alabama. Okay, what do you got?
I'm gonna say
And you have 5, 4, 3.
Today, Junior.
Huh?
LSU.
LSU and Tennessee both have 11. So yeah,
Come on!
second place.
Woo-hoo-hoo, your boy is
All
I
right.
just thought, man,
Shaquille.
I was going to say Tennessee.
What'd you say?
Shaquille
Shaquille what?
O'Neal. LSU.
Okay, well that's the next question. Are you looking at the laptop?
Are
you
wait a
colluding?
minute.
I am a genius.
Okay, hold on.
Oh
He
my-
said, he
hold
said
on.
It's on
yesterday.
camera. I didn't look anywhere. It's
Hold
on
on. No,
camera.
we'll run the tape
Shaquille
back.
O'Neal's
We're
the
gonna run the
answer
tape
to the
back.
second
What's going
one.
on over
Am
here?
I part of
Exactly.
the X-Men?
Exactly, because now it seems like maybe there's collusion, and now he's.
Oh, really?
Me.
No.
Look,
Count.
Wow.
I
Hang
put
it
that
down.
question in Thursday.
Should I go
trivia
get a
because
lottery
You
ticket?
said that you thought Shaq was a little too low on the NBA 75 list. Okay,
Yeah,
all
keep
time.
turning that computer.
All right. So here's my question, and this is a fun one,
Yeah.
all right, which we can
Got
do a little
Cyclops over
Price
there.
is Right on this one, all
do
right?
it.
And you're going first since you got the first question right.
Okay.
How tall was Shaquille O'Neal at age 10? Age 10. You're up first.
Age 10.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Age 10. That's a good one.
Okay.
8'8".
How tall is Shaq?
Like 7'4".
Is he 7'1"?
Seven. I think he's 7.
I think he's 7'1".
Is he 7'1"?
Is he 7'1"?
Because Yao Ming was 7'4", right?
I thought
7'5"?
Yao Ming
trying
was
to think.
7'6".
Was he?
Yeah, he was an
A
absolute
whole nother
treat.
half foot.
7'1".
7'1", Shaq, 7'1".
I'd say he was I'm so wrong.
The aliens.
At 10, he was 5'10".
That's a good guess. At 10, I'm going to say he was
He's about to Price is Right this shit. How much it is?
5'10" and 1 inch.
See,
He
this is crap.
He was 6'4".
Oh my
At age 10.
At 10
Oh
So that one goes.
That's
that one
weird,
goes to
man.
Jake. all
That's
right?
weird.
That one
Get
goes
away
to
from
Jake.
me.
I'd be like, okay.
What a great
okay.
friend to have when you're 10.
6'4", playing. There's no way they let him play against 10-year-olds.
Oh, they had
Yourself,
something in the
no?
article. They had something that said he was responsible for more youth basketball players quitting basketball in the Newark area
He
when
would-
he was
he
growing
would-
up.
he would be beating the dads.
One parent came out and took their kid and said, "He's not 10."
Can you imagine? They're like, you imagine seeing Shaq like at 6'4". He's like, listen, kids.
He's
All right.
6'4" and you're 10.
That's
Ugh.
horrifying.
Next one, and we could have a few bonus ones off of this one here if we want. But Emmitt Smith is the NFL's all-time leading rusher. Another Price is Right situation here, okay? How many yards did Emmitt Smith rush for in his career?
In his career,
Yeah, he's an all-time leading rusher in the NFL. Jake, you're up.
how many
first.
years did he play again? Do you have that?
I almost
lot.
made an eagle.
A lot.
Emmitt Smith.
Nobody cares.
almost made an
Fairway.
eagle?
Yeah, I almost made an eagle.
Yeah.
Eagle. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm
I
sure
care.
you're not getting it confused with bogey. You know the difference, right?
You know what?
How many shots did you
said,
take
"You know
from the
what?
fairway?
You know what? I almost made it too.
Yeah.
It was him and another guy. I can't. It was actually.
Did you
off
birdie
the
it
line,
then?
man. Yeah, I
Did
did.
you made
I was
the
like
birdie?
2 feet. I was like a foot out.
Emmitt Smith, all-time rush yards.
I didn't see it. Rushing yards for his career, he probably played, 14 years, somewhere around there?
Damn.
I'm going to say 40,000.
40,000. What do you say?
We're just rushing.
Yeah,
We'll go 39,999.
18,355.
Close. Oh, well, I was thinking yeah.
Okay, but I'll tell you what. Round out the top 3 all-time leading rushers. Who's number 2 and who's number 3? Bonus question here. All-time NFL leading
Walter
rushers.
Payton.
and
Okay.
Barry Sanders.
I'll say Walter Payton and Eric Dickerson.
Okay.
I'm going to go Barry Sanders, Eric Dickerson.
Okay. Barry Sanders is 4th. Walter Payton is 2nd, and Frank Gore is 3rd.
Frank Gore is third.
Yeah.
Well, he's only
Frank
played
played in the league for
320 years.
16,000
700
yards
years.
even. Adrian Peterson rounds out the top 5.
Adrian's
at
a
5.
monster.
Yeah. All right.
That's so far off.
All right. I'm excited about this one. Okay. This question comes to us from a new Booster Club member, Danny Dominguez. Okay.
Hey.
Hit us with this one. And
D
really,
Dizzle.
I
Shout
thought
out
about this
Danny.
one for like a half hour. There are
Okay.
5 Hall of Fame NFL players who started their careers after Tom Brady, and they're already in the Hall of Fame. Okay. They were drafted after Tom Brady. Okay. And they're already in the Hall of Fame.
Danny,
I'm
where
gonna
did you
give you-
dig this one
I'm
out
going to
of?
give you a few here. Steve Hutchinson. Okay.
Of course.
Steve Hutchinson, the Michigan difference. Boom. All right.
Yeah.
Drafted after Tom Brady in the Hall of Fame. Troy Polamalu is
Okay.
another one. Okay. Drafted after Tom Brady in the Hall of Fame. There are 3 others: a wide receiver, a running back, and a safety. Can you guys name any of them?
A wide receiver.
A safety.
running back, and a safety.
They would have to been drafted after 2000, but they have to have retired.
Ed Reed.
Ed Reed.
Ed Reed.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. You both got it.
I got it
What-
first, though.
What's the, okay? You said the other one was
I got it first.
receiver and what else?
A receiver and a running back.
Running back, give me
After 2.
after.
No, I don't think he's in the Hall of Fame.
Had to have retired at least 5 years ago to be in the Hall of Fame.
Okay. Give me. Man, that's a tough one.
A receiver and a running
A
back.
receiver and a running back. Give me Terrell Owens, wide receiver.
Okay.
It's a good guess.
And give me
That is a good guess.
the running back, man. Give me
I'm gonna
Corey
say.
Dillon.
I'm gonna say receiver. Calvin Johnson.
Oh, that's a good guess.
And running back after 2000.
Put him on the clock.
Yeah, give me 30 seconds.
No.
No,
5.
hell no.
5 seconds.
4, 3.
Come on.
Reggie Bush.
2. No, but you did get Calvin Johnson.
Hey, let's go.
Running back is LaDainian Tomlinson.
Damn, it's LT.
But you both got Ed Reed.
Yeah, but I got it first. So that's
Well, I got Calvin Johnson.
is that the
That's
last
it.
trivia? Is
That's
that
what I got.
That's
I won.
hey, that was good.
That was
Hey,
pretty
Danny
good.
Dominguez, that was a good one.
Yeah, for
Good
sure.
job,
And
Danny.
he played at Miami, actually. So
Yeah.
he liked the Ed Reed one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
Ed
course,
was a
of course.
monster. If you go look
All
at
right.
that roster they had in Miami,
Is it time to go beyond the game?
Let's do it. Who's up first?
Blaine is.
I will go first. This is one of my favorite segments to do. So Andy Tollison, he was an equipment manager for Lake Hamilton High School. He is a special needs kid.
Oh, that's a great story.
He's been there for 4 years. And on senior night, they had 4 seniors, but they had a spot open for a 5th senior, and Andy was a senior, and so he dressed out with the team. He didn't know he was going to play or not, but it was so awesome that he dressed out for the team, and the coach put him in. And if I be damned, Andy went in there and went 3 for 3 with 3 threes.
Why haven't you been playing the guy?
Money in the bank.
Wow.
He said, I saw on his quotes, he says, probably the coolest moment of his life. And man, that's what makes sports great.
Yeah, it is.
Stuff like
Yeah,
this.
it
So,
is.
Andy, congratulations. And the head coach of Lake Hamilton, man, great job.
Wow, that's a good one, man. When I was trying to fact check this to make sure I was straight on the Tom Brady situation, I found out that Brady is going to produce and play himself in a new road trip film called 80 for Brady.
He's going to play himself?
He's going to play himself, and he's producing it through his 199 Productions, all right, the number that he was drafted. Jane Fonda and Sally Field are both going to be in the film, but a little extra trivia here. This won't be the first film he was in. Tom Brady played a computer geek in the 2003 Matt Damon film Stuck on You. Have you guys seen that?
I need to go back and
It's
look
like
at that.
a 5-second little segment. He's like a computer geek. It's
a great movie.
I wonder if Tom Brady is going to be a good actor.
I mean,
If they need any extras.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Outer space versus inner Earth. Shh. Secret's out. All right. Here's what I got. The UCL, it's the Champions League, UEFA is stripping St. Petersburg of the Champions League final due to Russia invading Ukraine, which they should. One of the many sanctions that are probably heading their way. I do want to say, prayers sent for everybody in Ukraine, everybody that's defending Ukraine. Good for them. I think there's going to be more things that get taken out of Russia, and it should, because bullies should get stuff taken away from them. So good for the Champions League, taking away the Champions League final of 2022 out of St. Petersburg. You hate it for the Russian people, but when you have a clown like that running it, you deserve stuff like this to happen. So shout out to them for doing that. Shout out to you guys for checking out the show. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Got another great show coming to you tomorrow. It's Friday. We've made it to the end of the week. Make sure you guys are safe out there. And like my chances of getting the rushing yards right of Emmitt Smith for his career by a cool 22,000 yards. Hall of Fame numbers there. We're going.